Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Electronic Gaming Mostly. I'm Seeker127
With Gabler.
with this other guy I found. So what you been doing this week?
Fucking playing Spider-Man, jerking off and playing World of Warcraft. Not necessarily in that order.
It's important to have priorities.
It is.
Alright, so I don't want to spend a lot of time on Spider-Man because I haven't played it. But what is the big deal about this Spider-Man that's getting so much hype?
I mean, I played Spider-Man when I was a kid, like on the NES and shit like that, and it was kind of cool. I remember climbing up the stage where you climb up the wall and you have to avoid shit coming out the window. You get to the top and there's Electro. I don't think I ever beat that game. Maybe that's on Sega. I don't remember. But I don't think I ever beat the game. But I think we're hitting this key point in time with games where we can actually do superhero games that are good. Everybody has like Superman 64 as a
I was just
standard
thinking that.
terrible game, right? Right? Because it's like you even if you take away like the terrible mechanics of flying around through rings in that game, if you just look around at the world of that game, it's terrible. The city looks terrible. It's barely populated. And then there's the Batman games that came out a couple years ago, and those kind of moved in the right direction. There were no citizens or anything, obviously, but every one of those games, even like so the first one was Arkham Asylum, that was fine, and then they do Arkham City, and then even the last one was also that was like in Gotham, right? And they took the civilians out. They took all the civilians out of Gotham with like some kind of arbitrary, get them out.
Well, I mean, they had to find a way to stop players from just going around murdering people as Batman because that would ruin the lore. But I mean, come on, how convenient every time.
Like it was a convenience though because the technology couldn't handle it. But in Spider-Man, the city feels alive. Like there are citizens everywhere, and they react to you swinging around. Some of them will talk shit to you. They'll be like, "Why you wear that suit? Something wrong with your skin?" It's like New York, and it's New York. Like you can go around and see everything. Although I haven't seen any Trump buildings. I don't know if they took those out or if I just haven't been paying enough attention, or maybe there aren't any in Manhattan with his name on it. I don't.
Well,
I don't
it would be Stark, right? Stark Tower, not Trump Tower.
The Avengers Tower's in the game. That's really cool. The one from the film. So there's a
so
lot of really cool shit. There's a lot of really cool shit like that in the game, and it feels good. The controls are really well done for moving through the city. It's very intuitive. You can move quickly. You can be leisurely about it. The only problem I think I have with the movement is it feels a little difficult to be pinpoint accurate. Like if you want to get on top of a roof very simply and you want to swing in that, like you have to kind of crawl up the wall a little bit to some degree. I mean, you don't have to, but it feels like it's too. Sometimes you'll try to go up on a building and you'll hit the wrong button or something and you'll swing over it or whatever like that.
Like the Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, sometimes syndrome. It's kind of got that a little bit where you got to finagle just a little bit, but it feels really good. They got so many animations. You don't feel like you're seeing repeat animations a whole lot with swinging through the city and everything. And they do open world better than any game I think has ever done.
It's just unfortunate that's PS4 exclusive because I can't play it.
Well, they have your little tower thing that you normally do to sync up to an area. And I did all of those right away because they're not that bad. It's just Manhattan, and you're just on the island of Manhattan. But
we got a serial killer in Brooklyn, Spider-Man. Well,
that's
that.
So that's one of the cool aspects is once you unlock it, it shows you like collectibles. You can go around and collect all the backpacks that he's set around. And this gives you access to a resource that lets you unlock suits. And there's like maybe 20 to 30 different suits in the game. And each one of them has their own little special ability. Once you unlock the suit, you can use that special ability with any other suit. So you can look however you want, but still get the powers of the other suits. And the suits are really cool. They're all from the different comic books and things like that. And then, of course, you can put upgrades in the suits to kind of tailor to your playstyle. And it's not like Batman where every enemy feels too difficult. It's got the same kind of motions, the guy with the melee weapon, the guy with the gun, the guy with the shield. And there's always early on dealing with those. There's special ways to deal with those, but eventually you just get access to an ability to just rip shields out of people's hands with webs and stuff like that, and it feels really good. The combat feels really good. I would like a counter mechanic, but whatever, it's fine. I guess that's not really a Spider-Man thing. I haven't really done a whole lot of boss fights. The game starts off very mild, and I'm thinking that it gets really like exacerbated to some degree because Shocker's in the game, and you've been the way the game sets up is you've been doing this for a long time. I mean, you've already been in a relationship with Mary Jane, and that broke off a little bit, and Shocker's already out there, and Rhino's already out there. There's several characters like Vulture and all that's already locked up. Dr. Octavius is not a villain yet. He's you work with him at his laboratory. That's part of the quest lines. You actually go in there and do that stuff, and they mix that up really well. You actually play as Mary Jane at one point and walk around and stealth around this area, and it works really well. So it's doing really good. I haven't played it enough to know how, in terms of like the game's going to develop out and work, but I'd say it's worth every dollar currently, unless the game just abruptly ends anytime soon. I can't see it being a negative.
Well, how much time have you put into it so far?
I've probably played about 6 hours, 6 to 8 hours, something like that.
All right, well, if you get, what'd you pay, $60?
Yeah, and I haven't.
Well, that's our metric to make it. If it's 100% worth it, you'll get $1 an hour for every dollar.
And just the last thing I'll say on it is, like, I think they do the open world really well, better than any game that's come before it, because the first, I haven't pushed the story heavily. There are side missions that do open up, but I've been, I did this thing where I was having so much fun just swinging around the whole place. I was like, well, I'm going to go collect all these backpacks. And I did that. I collected all the backpacks and took photos of all the, like, key areas. And that's just, I guess that's to show you, like, hey, we put all these things from actual Manhattan in there. Check them out. And then I did all of that, and I look in the collectibles thing, and I realized there's like maybe 8 to 10 different types of things like that I haven't unlocked that just progressively unlock as the game goes. So they don't. It's not like Assassin's Creed where they throw everything on you at once. It's a stepping system, but they also do cool little things where you just run into stuff if you want to. So each zone, each little region that you unlock has, like, you have to complete 4 criminal activities. You have to stop 4 basic crimes. And those range from, they have pretty decent amounts of variety to where it doesn't feel too repetitive. Things from like breaking up drug deals to, stopping speeding cars. You jump on top of the car and beat the shit out of the passengers and then stop it in some exaggerated way. But you'll go around and you'll just get something on the comms, because Spider-Man carries a phone with him that has like he's working with the
Bluetooth,
police, and they have like some kind of a built-in
cutting edge tech.
It's like hearing in on the police calls and shit, and you'll just and you can hit a button that immediately uses his senses, and it just shows you where it's at, and you just immediately go in there. It's like right nearby, so it doesn't feel like a chore to go out of your way on the way to a mission. You'll be swinging to a mission, and this will pop up, and you'll just be like, well, let's go fucking help these people. And it feels very Spider-Man-esque, because as soon as you finish it, you just head back out. Starting a side mission and things like that. Don't go to cutscenes. There's very rarely cutscenes in the game, but there's a lot of cool stuff.
That's good for open world.
Because I feel like, I don't know if this is true, and I hope it is true, I feel like we're going to see in the game's story that the Doc is going to become Dr. Octopus, because, this is a little bit of a spoiler if anybody cares to this degree. It's not a major spoiler. It's a very tiny spoiler. It's nothing major. In the early parts of the game, you're working for Dr. Octavius, doing research on prosthetics, and then he gets shut down. His laboratory thing gets shut down. That's probably why he and I'm assuming that's the part where they're going to take it, where he kind of goes off to the fringe and does it on his own and makes the mistakes that gets him, in the situation. Because you have Peter Parker helping him in the situation of that, because Peter Parker's a genius, and then he's going to go off on his own.
I forgot about that part.
Screw it up. He's going to go off on his own and screw it up and get the arms attached to him or something. But the person that funded him is actually Norman Osborn, and you see him, and it's great.
Is it Willem Dafoe?
No, he's some redhead guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's the hot
Who could
one
we
in
get to play
Goblin.
Green Goblin with minimal makeup? How about Willem Dafoe? Yeah,
Willem
perfect.
Dafoe. Perfect. Yeah, so I'm hoping that we see him become the Green Goblin and all these things. I hope the game goes on that long. I really do. I hope it's not just some short stint with the Shocker and it's over and lame. I know that the main villain is Mr. Negative, and they really play the
Negative
game out.
Nancy.
They'll play the game out to a good degree. That if you don't know that, then it's going to be interesting. If you haven't seen the trailers, I don't know who hasn't seen the trailer. I guess a small portion of the population, but yeah, it's a good game. I think it's great. It is a shame that it's an exclusive, but if you have a PS4, it's definitely worth it. I'd say pick it up. If you like superhero games like Batman and shit like that.
Cool. Good intro. That's a long
Yeah,
one.
that's what I've been doing. What have you been doing?
I've been doing pretty much Battlefield 1, and then I realized that there was the Battlefield 5 beta, so I've been playing that, and World of Warcraft.
Speaking of Battlefield 5 beta,
Yeah. Let's talk about that in a little bit.
We did play that a bit, didn't we?
Yeah, I played it enough to get my recon class up to rank 12 and unlock all the weapons.
They should call it Battlefield 5 Alpha, you know, like that's what they should call
Well, they already had 2 alphas. And they were alphas, man. Like, it wasn't even textured. It was...
Well, yeah, I mean, that's fair. Yeah, it's a beta. It's definitely a beta. It's not a 1 month out to release beta.
Well, I thought that they were doing like a server test, and they might be, but they sent me a survey, and a lot of the questions focused heavily on the progression system and how I felt about the progression system. So maybe I guess that's what they're focusing on with this one.
Do stress tests because they only have a certain number of servers. The rest of them they usually kind of depend on the population getting their own server. I'm sure there's a large percentage.
Well, I mean,
players that
I guess they don't really need to. How many Battlefield games have they released on PC? I mean, they probably know their shit when it comes to what the server needs.
I mean, you already know this, but I hate this thing where Battlefield DICE constantly puts out. Every time they put out a beta, it's like a month before release, and it feels like they give you the oldest version of the beta possible. Like, this is when it first came out of alpha, and we did our first art pass. Like, certainly it looks good. I don't doubt that.
Well, let's go through and do all the things we liked, and then all the things we didn't like.
All right, you go first.
All right. So what I do like is the gunplay. It does need some refining. It's not as polished as like Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1. And I mean, I expect it will be by the time the game releases. But right now there's just weird visual glitches. Like, for example, when you unlock a certain upgrade for a gun, it automatically puts a bipod on it. And as far as I can tell in the beta, once it's on, it's on. You can't take it off. Even though with snipers, I never really saw the point in reducing recoil for a bolt action or a semi-auto rifle. It's just kind of pointless. Yeah. So when you put a bipod on a gun, he does this weird hand gesture with his front hand, his left hand, where I guess it's supposed to be the animation of him throwing something, or maybe like pushing like deploying the bipod, but it's always deployed. So all it really looks like is him like waving people off all the time, like, yeah, fuck off, right? Yeah, and it's really awkward, and it happens all the time, and it fucks with your aim.
Yeah, that's a big problem I had. I had a similar situation with support. Yeah. Playing support, I was overwatching on top. I was up on it was that map that's in the city, and we're on the train station thing at that point, and I'm overwatching down over the rail, and I see this guy crossing the bridge, and I want to deploy my bipod already, so I go to aim at him, and then like I see him at last second, he's running to underneath us. So I aim up, I ADS up and start shooting, and then the game just decides that it doesn't care that I'm shooting. It's going to now play the bipod animation. And of course, I don't know where my bullets are going while I'm shooting this, and I of course don't kill him. And I just felt it's
significant.
Such an invasive thing for no reason at all, because the bipod's already deployed.
Yeah, it doesn't even look like an animation for deploying the bipod. It looks like you're throwing
to the left or some shit, and It's so
And it
weird.
happened like when it happens, he does it like over and over again. Like it's
Oh
such a
yeah.
weird looking thing. It's like
Well, the worst thing is when you
imagine you
deploy.
get like a spider on your left hand, right? And you're like, oh, and you like shake it off. That's what it looks like. I'm not
Yeah.
exaggerating.
Yeah, the worst thing is when you deploy the bipod. It's similar, same situation, still playing same support on the same area, and there's just guys running out in the distance, and I'm just trying to shoot at them. And every time I go to reload, like I have to, the gun's not on the rail anymore, so I go to reload. There's no animation to take it off the thing or anything. It just goes into a reload animation. Then I go to shoot again, and sure enough, he does the deploying bipod animation. It's so like why? It should just be. If
You should just
anything,
when you get
it
the
should just
upgrade, you should be able to
deployed.
take it off, or hit a button to deploy it. And if it's not deployed, then it just operates like a normal gun. Because like the way the upgrade system works is you have to level up your class, you have to level up your overall character, and you have to level up your gun, which I disagree with. But as you level up your gun, you spend this fucking currency, which you don't get enough of to upgrade every gun.
Well, that's how you get the boosters, my dude.
Yeah, that sucks. I put that as part of my feedback too. But
Oh yeah.
so there's usually one tree. Like the first two talents are universal, and then you get it splits, and you get to choose between one of two trees. And one is usually favoring like faster gameplay, like you'll aim better while moving, you'll ADS faster.
Well, mention the
You'll have
basic talents because those are pretty fucked up. As soon as you don't
well,
like,
hold on, I'm
you
getting all this.
upgrade a gun. You upgrade a gun, and then you go to the next gun, which is supposed to be an upgrade, and it's not because it's got slower bullets.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. The other side usually favors like more accuracy when you're sitting still, fast bullets. But the thing is like when you're using snipers, they've lowered the bullet velocity, so fast bullets is kind of required because
Yeah, this isn't
you'll never
something
win a
where they took the
firefight
base.
with someone at closer range.
This isn't something where they took the base and then we're like, let's just add a thing where you can increase the velocity. No, what they did was they said, well, this is what's normal and balanced from the previous game, and let's make this the thing that you have to get, and then we'll just lower the velocity on everything else until then.
Yeah, so it
It's
actually kind of discourages you from picking up new guns and using them because
yeah.
even by the time you level the gun to the point where you could get the upgrade, you probably don't have the currency because you spent it all on the gun you already have. So I play Battlefield mostly for the sniping because I really like the sniping mechanics, and I don't know, it's just fun to me. I don't really play to win, I just play to snipe. And Battlefield 1 did a really cool thing with the sweet spot mechanic where you can get a one-shot body shot, and it would depend on what gun you were using and the range. Like every gun had a different range. And there's a few outliers. There's a few guns that shot faster or had good bullet velocity and didn't have that mechanic. But it kind of forced you to know the map and get into certain positions so you can get those one-shot body shots. And even then, like if they're running perpendicular to you and you hit them in the arm, that doesn't count. So it wasn't too OP. I mean, considering that medics had semi-auto rifles and everyone else had automatics and shotguns and shit, I mean, the least they could fucking do is give you a one-shot body shot. They took that away in Battlefield 5. And the thing is now in the beta, you have a choice between 3 weapons for recon. 2 of them are bolt action, 1 of them is semi-auto. And the only difference is that the bolt action gets a one-shot headshot from any range, and the semi-auto has a certain drop-off where a headshot won't kill them. But they all kill in 2 body shots. And in the case of the semi-auto, it's a body shot and a headshot. So there's really no reason to use bolt action if you're not going to get a one-shot body shot, especially at range, and having to upgrade everything to get the fast bullets. I mean, and it takes a while. I mean, I played for 10 hours, and I still didn't have enough currency to upgrade all 3 weapons. I got the semi-auto upgraded all the way and put a few upgrades into the other 2. But I kind of wish that I could take those points back because there's really no point in using them.
Mm-hmm.
So the other option is the Lee Enfield, and then the high damage, slow firing Car 98. But when I say high damage, I still mean 2 body shots.
2 body shots.
Because, I mean, sure, when you hit someone with the semi-auto in the chest, it's 51 damage. And when you hit someone in the chest with a Car 98, it's 60 damage. But it doesn't matter, you know? Like, sure, it does more damage,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter. And you would think that without so much regenerating health and changing that mechanic in this game, that maybe you'd get more body shot kills, but not so much. You know, it relies on calculating bullet drop more than any other class, I just don't see why
It's
it's
really
such a
weird how
higher skill curve.
they just nerf the shit out of snipers all the time. You know, this happens I think across a lot of games where people just complain about snipers because I think it's just the one shot kill. You know, you're sitting around and then somebody starts shooting with an SMG. You feel like you have an opportunity to defend yourself. With a sniper, it's just suddenly you just die. And this is true across a lot of games. You know, people complain about it in Overwatch as well with Hanzo and
Yeah, but
Widowmaker.
in
But
most other games, it's hit scan. You know, you
yeah,
just point and click. This one, there's
this
actual
is
like lead
much more
time.
skill involved with lead time. Yeah, somebody, if you're doing a shot in the distance, the only person you're going to catch is somebody standing still, and it makes those shots when you hit somebody on the run feel way
Yeah,
better. And they've really nerfed it down. Like the head hitboxes are so small. They're obviously majorly inflicted with the slow bullet travel until you upgrade the weapon to get the fast bullet, which is just normal speed.
yeah, and I mean it's actually more difficult in the game than in real life because the way people move in these games is they're constantly like just jerking back and forth and jumping all
Yeah,
over the place, changing direction on a dime. Makes
yeah.
no fucking sense because I mean,
Well, in
with the
real life, you
slow,
hit somebody with a caliber bullet of that size in the chest, they go
they're out
down.
of commission.
They're out of commission. They're not fighting anymore.
I mean, with the slow bullets, people will dodge your shots without even trying.
Yeah, they don't even know you're shooting them. They're just wiggling around fighting somebody else.
Yeah, it's very hard to predict. So I think they need to do something with that. And you know, snipers aren't supposed to be great at close range, but the hip fire is really bad, even with the semi-auto. And the semi-auto only has 5 bullets per clip, and you can sit there like 10 feet away, bam, 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 and every shot is well aimed with hip fire, and it just misses.
And for you magazine jackasses out there, we're talking about a World War II game. It is a clip, okay? Uh,
Yeah,
here's the thing. I've always thought that scouts, I mean, if you're going to call them scouts and not snipers, I think you need to give, I think it's time that Battlefield adds a secondary weapon for every class other than a pistol.
but that pistol's
Because
pretty OP.
the pistol's strong right now. The P38 is very strong, so I don't mind it. But
The ruby is good too. That's what
um,
I was using, just because I had that extra bullet.
my problem specifically with the scout, and this doesn't really apply for the other classes, but specifically the scout, is when someone gets close in on you, you're pretty useless. But then at the same time, when they're far away from you, you're still pretty useless
Yeah.
because it's just so punishing to try and shoot people far away. And they also took out, like, they used to have to deal with this. They had the sweet spot, which was if you were in a certain distance, you know, you just clobber them. I think the closer somebody is, the more damage a sniper rifle bullet should do to somebody.
Well, I mean, it does, but it's still not a one-hit kill. Like
Well,
the
it should be.
semi-auto within like probably 50 feet will one-shot headshot. But good luck, you know, hitting someone in the head within 50 feet while they're
And
strafing and jumping all over the place.
I know there's people out there that are like quick scopers and shit. But that stuff's lame. There's nothing. I'm playing
That's not what
Battlefield
Battlefield's
because
about.
I want, the reason why I play Battlefield is because I want a war simulation feel to some degree, but a lot of good action and beauty. You know, you play a game like Arma, you don't get the beauty and the sound design and the you know, the fast paced action of it. But at the same time, I want to feel like I'm in an actual battle. The quick scoping just takes me out of that so much. Like, yeah, you can do it, but it doesn't feel good when you do it. You know, what feels good is hitting a 600-meter shot off somebody's head full sprint. That feels
Yeah.
good.
They didn't
Uh,
increase the scale of the distance. Like Battlefield 1, they made it so like 150 meters was really far away. This one, I would say that 150 meter distance is probably more like 400 meters, 300
Right.
meters, something like that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter because there's no sweet spot. So it's really just all based on visuals. The other thing is they did not take out the sniper glint for long range scopes.
Which is terrible.
Yeah,
I
which
don't
I
know
mean,
why you need to also. There's already a giant tracer that comes off of you. I don't know why people need to immediately know where you are from sniper glint.
before you even shoot,
Yeah,
I never
terrible.
agreed with that. Plus, it's really hard to hit from that distance. And the thing is, it's like the spaces are so open in Battlefield that they have to make the other guns competitive at a certain range, right? So like I played assault a little bit, and just that automatic assault rifle, the default weapon, like I was killing a good number of people when they were trying to scout me because they have to go boom, rebolt, boom, rebolt, and I'm just sitting there like tat 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 tat, single shotting it.
Yeah,
It's very possible.
There's so many problems with the scout class. Like when you rebolt, you have to come out of scope, which that never happens IRL. People don't do that. When people shoot scoped weapons and rebolt, they do it with their shooting hand, their trigger hand. They don't do it by, pulling the gun back and looking at the gun.
No, actually, most of the time what they do is they lay prone, like a sniper does, and they use their left hand to reach over the scope and keep their hand on the trigger.
That's true too. But either way, they're still looking through the scope at their target. They don't take their eyes off the target.
Yeah, and Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 4 had that upgrade, the straight pull, so you could rebolt while you're still looking down sights. Battlefield 1 did away with that, and Battlefield 2 has not brought it back. So
far, it seems like they haven't brought it back.
But I mean, truth be told, I'm better with an iron sight. I don't know why.
Well, the scopes aren't that great to begin with.
Yeah, you don't get to choose what kind of scope you have.
Thing if snipers were stronger. I wouldn't mind the glinting thing if there was some kind of like it had to actually do with the position of the sun or something. But snipers are supposed to be, and I get that they're called the scout, but that's what they do.
It's recon. It's recon in this game.
Recon, whatever.
But here's the thing: there are actually secondary classes that you can't choose between in the beta. You could see it where you would change it, but after you pick recon, your default class in the beta is sniper. But I'm assuming there's going to be other subclasses.
That when the game comes out, because we do plan to buy it, no matter how terrible this beta is. Because
can I make a confession?
Go ahead.
I already pre-ordered the deluxe edition.
Yeah, I'll probably pre-order it too.
I feel really bad about it after last week talking about how you don't get anything.
I'll probably pre-order something. Well, you get a skin, which is really nice. I wouldn't mind to have that.
You get weekly drops with cosmetics and shit, but
I'm gonna get it anyway, so I might as well pre-order it. But here's the thing: we're talking about the beta here, and in the beta, there are no extra class things. They didn't show their best hand, which is a problem. I don't understand why they're hiding it. I don't understand the mentality behind removing things so you can't see it. This isn't a single player game where you're getting story spoiled for you. It's a multiplayer experience. It's fine that they have a couple maps. It's not fine that they're limiting the amount of guns and things like that you can unlock. Are they really afraid that people are going to play this game in the beta and be like, well, done, unlocked everything, I got no reason to play the game? That's not why people play Battlefield.
I'm hoping that they slowed it down for the beta, because like I said, it feels like I've been playing it a lot. And I haven't even unlocked half the weapons. And there's only 4 weapons per class, except for Recon, which has 3 weapons. I'm assuming there's going to be at least 3 times as many guns in the final game. I don't want to have to play this game for 300 hours to unlock all the guns. I like variety. I like to change things up. And it's not that, I probably will play the game for 300 hours over the course of its life. I don't want to be unlocking shit 3 years from now.
For those 300 hours.
Yeah. Now, I put it in part of my feedback, too, that I think it's fucking stupid that you have unlock requirements that require other guns that also have unlock requirements. Yeah. So it's like, get 100 kills with this fucking gun, or get 50 headshots with this gun to unlock this gun. And once you get the second gun, get a bunch of kills with that gun to get this other gun. Because some people actually do play as a team, and some people actually want to contribute as much as they can. And now you're forcing them to use a weapon that they may not be good with, or it may actually suck. I mean, I'm going to reserve judgment because this is a hypothetical.
Yeah.
We'll assume they've balanced perfectly, but maybe it's just a gun you're not good with. Now you got to use that for, 100 kills. Maybe that's 3 or 4 games if you're decent. Probably more than that.
Probably.
Just to unlock a gun that you haven't even tried. It just looks cool, or you think it might be good. So the whole leveling system is kind of weird. I don't agree with having unlockables behind 3 different level up requirements. I think they should do away with the currency. If you're going to do that, do away with the currency to buy things, buy the upgrades on your guns.
Yeah.
You should just be able to unlock them as the gun levels up.
There's no reason for a currency on that, yeah.
Now, I mean, one of the good things
attached to everything else.
Well, one of the good things I liked about Battlefield 1 is that they increased the amount of war bonds you got, and you just bought guns and like I think I have like 9,000 war bonds left over, and I have pretty much everything.
Yeah, well, that's what they're trying to deal with is the leftover. Oh, it's something else to spend it on. Well, just I mean, is it not enough that I reached the level and unlocked it? Like,
It
it's
wouldn't
like,
be such a
hey,
big deal if you could respec, but those points that you
yeah,
spent are gone. Like I upgraded the Lee Enfield because it was the only gun I had, and then when I got to the Car 98, I didn't have enough to upgrade it.
yeah.
So I don't know. It's it's a work in progress, and I hope they're actually taking this feedback seriously. And I hope I'm not the outlier. I hope I'm not the only one because I mean, people bitched in Battlefield One that you couldn't unlock guns through doing challenges, and then they added the weapon challenges.
Yeah,
And then
they're
people bitched
stupid.
that they had to use certain weapons to upgrade it, and they took that away. Like the way the Battlefield One ended, the way you unlock the final weapons, which is just get a certain number of kills as this class or do this challenge. I'm okay with that. It's
Yeah.
using the guns specifically that bothers me. But they don't seem to be doing any of that. It's just straight up you get currency when you level something, and as you go down the talent tree, you get more shit. Like everything costs more.
Mhm.
So it's a very slow process. I'm hoping they
I
speed it
mean,
up for the final version.
aside from that, aside from the guns and the talent problem, I think everything else is pretty good. I like a lot of the systems, other than fucking the obvious one that vehicles need to be nerfed.
Yeah. Well, let me talk about something real quick before we get to
Paper
vehicles.
versus rock.
The hitboxes I think are fine at a distance, but it seems like they nerfed them at close range because there's a lot of times when I hit a shot that's not exactly center mass, but like it should hit, you know? And I don't know if that's just a beta server issue where when they strafe back and forth, like fucking spaz machine, that I'm aiming farther behind them than I think. But something's definitely up with the hitboxes. There are shots that should hit that don't. And I'm not just saying that to be salty. It happened. But at a range, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like a fucking master sniper. But I like, I tend to clobber people with that fucking iron sight semi-auto most of the time, especially with the fast bullets. So I think that's not too bad. But
Yeah.
yeah, vehicles. We both agree on this. So you can go ahead. I've spoken enough.
I mean, when it comes to vehicles, there's not much to say. I don't like them. I don't participate in them. I get that some people enjoy them. I don't know how you can. It would be one thing if vehicles were weaker and you had to play smarter. You had to play closer to the chest and be smart about it. As it stands now, and again, this is the beta experience. Still gonna get the game, but from just the beta experience, take what you want from it. I mean, you have situations where I'm on a flak cannon and a fucking fighter plane flies above me, fighting some other friendly in the sky, and I'm hitting him with flak, and every hit is registering. Doom, 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 doom. And I get about maybe 15 or so shots before the gun overheats. The gun overheats, and he never even catches on fire. This is a giant problem, okay? Planes like this were ripped to shreds in World War II. They would shoot bullets through planes. Let me tell you something. If you get 5 bullets, if you get a couple bullets in your wing in a World War II airplane, you are done. That plane is not flying anymore. Okay, it's over.
Yeah,
It
and
gets
you're
those
using a
bullets
gun
are going to
specifically made
shred
for
through
taking
it.
down aircraft.
Yeah, these bullets are going to shred through the aluminum like it's nothing. Uh, it's kind of crazy. Um, they do have like less handholdy stuff, and that's great, but it's still an
Well, I
option to
will
have the
say that
handholdy stuff.
I don't feel threatened by airplanes when I'm playing infantry, which is
That's
nice.
certainly
I
true
wasn't
in
killed
Battlefield
a
1.
single time by an airplane. People tried,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
don't know whether they have trouble aiming. I you saw the clip I did on
But
Twitch,
it
like
might be that the beta also didn't have like all the stupid little ground bombs unlocked and shit.
yeah. Well,
You know,
people
like
are
they were doing in
bitching.
World War
People are
One.
bitching about airplanes. I can't even see the infantry. Like part of it's probably that you can't mark enemies the same way.
That's good.
That is
That's a
good.
really good change. I like that. I like the change to the marking system. I didn't like always being marked and having a fucking floating thing above my head and not knowing that I was marked. I prefer the new system
Yeah.
where
So
you
for those
point
who
and
don't
it
know,
basically tells you danger area.
yeah, you mark an area instead of actual people, unless you're playing recon and you're using the binoculars. Then you'll actually mark people. That's the only time, and I'm okay with that. And
That's good.
you're not
Yeah.
marked as
No,
long. It doesn't last as long as it did in previous Battlefield games.
it's a little yellow thing on the ground, and it's the 3D object on the HUD, and it tells your team, "Hey, there's danger in this area."
Yeah,
It's kind of like Rainbow Six's targeting system, where you just kind of point at an area and it shows up for people.
yeah. I mean, it is kind of
That's
tough when
great.
you're aiming through like trees and stuff because if there's a tree 20 feet in front of you and you're trying to mark
Yeah,
something through the leaves like 100 feet out,
yeah.
it'll mark the fucking tree.
It'll mark the tree.
So yeah, I mean, as far as planes go, I'm glad that they nerfed them. People are bitching about it, so I
Tanks
hope
are
that's something they
fucking
not change.
ridiculous.
Yep, tanks are still.
ridiculous.
So I don't know if this is going to be better. I don't know if this is going to be better in the final version, but right now there's not a whole lot of unlocks. I don't think there's any unlocks that help you with tanks. It's just the two packs of dynamite you get as assault and your grenade, and there's no anti-tank grenade. So you can, if you manage to run up on a tank as an assault, those two sticks of dynamite aren't enough.
It's not enough.
It does a little over half their health and damage.
And
Your grenade will do 5 damage, but you also get a rifle grenade that has 2 shots as assault. It does 0 damage to tanks.
It's for infantry. And I don't like the noob tubes. I don't know why they keep putting them in the game like that. I think it's
Well,
terrible.
I don't. I
think
the only
it's
thing
a lack of ideas that they because almost every class has that thing. The assault has it. The medic has it, where you just have this. It's basically
it doesn't
a
even kill
rifle.
people in one shot, even with direct hits.
It doesn't do anything. It feels like the most useless thing in the game. Yeah. I've never used it. I tried to use it. I've never killed anybody with it. It's so unpredictable. It's got like the iron sights. It's not even iron sights. Like the HUD crosshairs are like a little, hey, it's a grenade launcher.
Well, I don't have
it's got
trouble
the
aiming
drop
it,
segments on it.
but it doesn't
It goes
impact.
higher sometimes, like it's a bow. It's so weird.
Well, it doesn't impact and then blow up. It impacts, bounces around, and then explodes. So they have plenty of time to get away from it. You can also throw grenades back in this game, which is good, but I still can't figure out if you can cook grenades. It doesn't seem like you can. You can hold it as you're throwing it, but I don't think the timer actually starts. And there's a pretty long fuse on them.
the fuse is pretty long.
So that's why I just stick with incendiary, because at least I'll do some damage.
I can't believe we're this far into Battlefield and they still don't have. They started messing with immobilization as a concept, and then they really regressed with Battlefield 1's repair it while you're in it system, which I guess is still a thing. But I'm sorry, once they did the segmented health in this game with players, they need to do that with vehicles. I don't know if they have. If they have, good. But if they haven't, they need to do segmented health with vehicles. Like once it gets to a certain degree, it can't be repaired beyond that, except by a specific class.
I don't know if you can repair from inside. I see a lot of people jumping out of tanks to try to repair it, so maybe they took that out.
And I think once treads come off, you just can't do it. There's no way to repair that.
Yeah.
I think once you blow the treads off of a tank, it's done. And I know that people are like, well, then tanks will be useless. No, they won't. People will use tanks like they're supposed to be used. Backline artillery or troop support. They're not meant to be one-man armies that roll up on a point uncontested while 6 soldiers run around trying to figure out how to deal with the fucking thing. It's just not a thing.
Yep. And I mean, it wouldn't be so bad if like an infantry could like hop on the thing and toss a grenade inside, but you can't.
Right.
So
can't do anything like that.
especially as recon,
it could be an animation just like stabbing where you could easily be shot out of it. But no.
yeah, and like recon has 0 solutions to a tank.
Well, there used to be like anti-tank grenade gun emplacements in Battlefield games, but they stopped doing that.
Well, I think they do have them, but good luck. I mean,
Yeah,
still takes way too many shots. You're stationary.
Too many shots. You're stationary. The tank blows you up in one hit because you're not in armor, and they are. You shoot a tank with an anti-tank thing. It just looks at you and shoots you, and you die because you're not in a tank, and that guy is.
And I'm still getting sniped by tanks from across the map, which, I mean, it should be possible. It should just be very, very fucking difficult to do. Just like it is in real life.
Yeah. I think they need to introduce some kind of penetrator rounds or something. Something that has to do with dealing with people inside tanks rather than blowing tanks up. I would like to see that more.
Or how about this? When you're in a tank, you don't get a crosshair.
That'd be nice.
I mean, you don't get a crosshair in real life. You just
Well,
gotta spray
I
and
would
pray.
like to see focusing on being able to remove the treads on a tank by blowing it up. You know, sticky bombs, sticky TNT. I think those should be for taking the treads out, but you have to put it on the treads, and then or running over the mines specifically, instead of just this thing where it's got a health bar and it blows up at a certain percentage. And I'd like to see, you know, like the AT gun and stuff like that, dealing with, you know, penetrating through the armor and killing the pilot inside. That's what I'd
Yeah,
like
and
to see.
I'm pretty sure that was possible in Battlefield 1 if you had K bullets, but at least in the beta, there's no K bullets. I don't even know if K bullets were a thing in World War II. So,
Well, they were thinking World War One. I don't know why
yeah.
they wouldn't. If something better would be around. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird that you can throw 3 sticks of dynamite, 6 total, on a tank, and it does nothing to it. That's the first thing I tested in the game. I ran around an assault tank, came up, ran up behind him, never saw me. Threw 2 things of dynamite on the back of it where the armor's weakest. Blew it up. Just kept rolling like nothing happened. Didn't smoke or anything.
Yeah.
Didn't give a shit.
And you got to play Assault to do it.
By the way, I just, you know, I had plenty of time to react, plenty of time to blow it, and I just stood there astonished as nothing happened. He didn't even turn around and shoot me. He just didn't care. And I had no way. I had to go like collect ammo again to do anything.
Yep. So that's another thing. You don't start with full ammo when you spawn.
I like that. I do like the ammo system. I think it's great. I think it grounds people a little bit more. It makes points worth it. It makes points more desirable.
Well, I mean, I tested it out. You can pick up ammo and health even if you don't own the point.
Well, I think the reason why they did this was because, I mean, like going back 2 points. I think the reason they did this is because otherwise the only way to get ammo is through death, which people would just kill themselves. And in a game where tickets matter, that's a bad idea. Or you have to have a support around, and I don't like depending on other people. So I like the idea, and so they wanted to
I
put
like the idea of
ammo
being
on the
able to
map.
pick up ammo. I just think you should start with your full, because your full ammo isn't a lot of ammo. It's 2 mags. It's
That's
what
true.
you're using and 2 mags.
2 magazines, yeah.
Unless you're recon, I think it's like
It's two. No, it's two.
it's
clips.
4. It's 4. So you like
might
the
be
semi-auto is you have 5 bullets in your
Yeah.
receiver, and you have like 20 bullets max, and you start with 15.
Yeah. I think that's just them wanting to make you go and use those more often. Really, it's kind of lost. I guess this is a developer problem where they thought it was very clever. Like, yeah, we'll put ammo on the map now, but to counterbalance having ammo everywhere, everybody starts with less ammo. The only time this is really relevant is if you're spawning on a teammate. That's the only time it's really relevant. Otherwise,
I think
everybody
it's
just spawns and immediately picks up ammo.
Yeah, and I think it's actually a bigger problem again for recon because you're the one who,
Oh yeah,
if you're
certainly
playing
another
correctly,
recon nerf.
yeah, if you're doing recon appropriately, you're going to be farther out. You're not going to be near a point. So you basically use all your ammo, switch to your pistol, and just
Exactly.
fucking run in. And 9 out of 10 times you'll get fucking killed on your way to get
I
ammo.
do like the new system though, because when you go get ammo, there's no cooldown on your grenades or stupid shit like that. You pick up the ammo, you got the ammo.
Yeah.
Look at that. Boom, you got your shit. It's good. I like that.
So let's talk about the different classes because we already talked about recon. I haven't played a whole lot of support or medic, mostly
Medic is
because
so
medics only have some machine guns, and I
We
like playing
talked
at
about
range.
support with the bipods until that's a fixed issue. I don't see myself playing support unless there's some unlock for a gun like in Battlefield 1 where there's no bipod on it. I don't mind support. I don't know what their roles are because
Well, I think support has
beta-
the best all around because it has.
beta didn't have like things that you can do. Like if you go back to old Battlefield games, there was like the engineer and he was the anti-tank guy. There was recon and they dealt with like, you know, snipers and detecting people. And then you had your medic, which their goal was to heal you, and you know they would heal you and be able to deploy health packs and resurrect people. And then assault was just the guys that had like some of the best guns in the game for just killing people. They were anti-infantry. They had the grenades and the noob tubes and all that grenade launcher. Now it's in this beta, at least it seems very homogenized to some degree in the sense that not homogenized in that they share things, homogenized in the sense that the things they have are weak. Recon has a beacon to deploy so that people can
Well,
spawn
that's
there.
actually really good because in the beta, I don't think people realize that there's a spawn beacon or they don't know what it looks like.
Well, that'll be
Because I've
gone
had
soon.
I've had teams fucking just run in by it, and I
Yeah,
just keep spawning behind them.
but that's just a new thing. That'll immediately be gone once people recognize what it looks like. And
Yeah,
it'll just go back to being, I mean, it's not bad. It's good because you can put a spawn beacon behind enemy lines and always have somebody there, and it makes the other team not just have to wipe your squad, but to find the beacon and destroy it.
yeah, but that's also going to bring back the Battlefield 4 problem, where instead of destroying the beacon, people are just going to camp the beacon.
I think snipers have the strongest kit in that regard to the binoculars being able to actually mark people.
Yeah, and they do have
Their
spot
guns are
flares too.
obviously pretty bad. Yeah, they have spot flares. So they're one of the strongest classes in terms of what their class does, not their weapons. Then you look at things like support where it's just ammo bags again. It's ammo bags and then you get an ammo box.
Yeah, but it still means you have unlimited ammo because you
Now,
can resupply yourself.
there might be more shit there. There more than likely is, but they didn't show it off in the beta, so I can't speak to that. I hope there is a lot more shit there for them to do.
Well, the thing about
In terms
support is
of
it's their guns are good at all ranges,
well,
just like
I'm
Battlefield
not
1.
talking about guns right now. I'm talking about just the abilities. Uh, Certainly the guns. Each class that I played, they had their pros and cons on the guns. Uh, I liked a lot of the medic guns that were SMGs. I like, if you play assault, for example, you get a nice weapon to start with. That's a semi automatic rifle, but then you get a semi-automatic Gawer, which is great
It's
in
pronounced
theory.
Gewehr.
Gewehr, whatever. I'm American, okay? It's gay. Where uh, I. It seems like a great gun. It feels good to shoot, but
It's
when you get into an encounter with somebody with an automatic weapon, you're at an extreme disadvantage.
yeah, and the
Because,
problem I think is that for
well,
some
its hip fire
reason,
is terrible.
yeah, the hip fire's terrible. It's basically the same as the semi-auto recon weapon, except it takes an extra bullet, fires faster. Which I mean seems like a good
It's
trade-off, but
great to fight at range with. Like if you want to kill snipers, it's great.
yeah, it still takes 2 shots. I still like the recon weapon better. I never unlocked the M1A1, but I want to. But the thing is I just don't like the iron sights. It's got that.
Yeah,
It's got the
that weird
ring over
loop.
the top,
Oh
which I
God, I
just
hate
God,
that.
if I was actually in that war, I would just cut that shit off.
Oh yes, cut it off.
Now they do
Get it
have
out of there.
reflex sights, and the assault reflex sight is actually kind of shitty. Like at first I liked it, but the thing is the glass area that you're looking through is tinted. So unless you're looking into broad daylight, it's really hard to see, and it's already hard to see people in this
Yeah,
game.
and that's their weird fucking uh, game design art bullshit where it's like, oh, it's you've been in war, so it's dirty and shit.
I don't know if that's what it is, but for whatever reason, it's really difficult to see people. So
You can probably disable that somewhere. I don't know.
no, well, maybe in the final game, I checked in the beta, and you can't. Now the support gets a similar reflex sight, but it's a different shape. It's like a circle. It's not quite as tinted. That one I like. Better sight picture.
Well, in terms
But
of class abilities, you know, I, the medic was fine. They pick people up faster. The res time is quite significant. I think it's like half speed. Uh, and of course, the health packs are pretty strong. It doesn't heal right away, but it heals over time. It doesn't feel overpowered in a gunfight. Assault feels weird. I don't know what they're supposed to be doing. I don't know what assault's supposed to be.
yeah, I don't
They
know
have
either,
some
especially with
guns.
only one automatic weapon.
Yeah, they have one automatic weapon, and at least in the beta, and then like their class abilities it's not really a thing. They have explosive weaponry, but like
They're
I
not
said, they're
good.
not really good at taking down tanks or anything like that. It's very strange. I don't know what they're trying to do with assault. I would hope that they're the bazooka wielding class, but that remains to be seen.
They are. You can unlock a RPG.
Well, I didn't get that far yet.
It probably still has one bullet, and it's not enough to take down a tank. So
Yeah, there's probably some class spec thing that you're supposed to get later in the actual game that makes it easy. I don't know.
I mean, I just think the vehicles
Beta
are way
was
too
more
overpowered.
impression.
I mean, I like the base game. I like the fucking sniping people part.
It felt a lot like Battlefield 1 with some good changes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just not as polished. And hopefully, it took Battlefield 1 a long time to get as polished as it is. So hopefully, it doesn't take. Hopefully they take some of those lessons and just incorporate them right into Battlefield 5. It doesn't take them a year and a half to do it.
Yep.
There's only 2 maps, so one of them is pretty good, Rotterdam. That's the one in like the city streets with the train.
Yeah.
I kind of like that map. And then there's the other one, which is out in the snow, which
Pretty
sucks.
bad.
Yeah, it's
Pretty
really
terrible
bad.
map.
There's just not a whole lot of.
Areas.
Well, there's open areas and there's a lot of like shit in the background, like busted buildings and all this other stuff. Where, as a recon, it's really tough.
It's not a very balanced map either. Yeah, it's not a very balanced map. It seems like every game seems to be just one side holding the other side. Like it's always kind of split down the middle. And I know people would think that's balanced, but it's really not. It's very difficult to take certain parts on that map coming from certain directions.
Yeah. Oh, and
The
on that map,
back camp is from like jumping out of airplanes and shit.
the other thing I don't really like, and this only happened once, but I still think it's shit.
The fucking fog, the blizzard.
Yeah,
rolling.
all that. But also that one time when we were trying to take down that tank and he was just hiding in the out of combat zone.
Oh god, that was
Yeah.
on the city map.
Yeah, he was just backed up into an area where the opposing team couldn't go.
Can we
And just
stop
fucking
that
sat there.
shit?
Yeah.
Can we just stop areas that opposing teams can't go to? Well, we got to prevent spawn camping. Okay, here's how you prevent spawn camping. Everybody spawns in a fucking parachute or some shit, right? Just something.
My God, you hear
something
that? There's a
something
storm
that people
happening.
can't yeah, something that well, there's a hurricane coming. Something that you can't, like, I don't know. There's got to be some way, like a subway system or something on each map, a tunnel, something.
Yeah, they
Gotta
did
be
that.
something.
They did that a lot in Battlefield 4, and that was really great.
You got to have places where you just can't have people sitting back camping it in a protected way and shelling. Because on this particular map, that tank can sit back there and shell the point. It's not okay.
Well, there's also a lot of long sight lines, so it can just sit there and anyone who comes from the other team's spawn and runs across one of the points, they can just shell them.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
remember, tanks don't just have artillery; they have like heavy machine guns too. So
Oh yeah. Yeah, they need to tone down the vehicles. I don't know. That's my opinion on it. I'm gonna buy it. Or
yeah,
stream
of
it.
course I'm gonna buy it. I just, in summary, make it faster to unlock things, fix the animations and shit, make the either hitboxes or the server lag or whatever it is, make it easier to hit people with hip fire at close range. And what was the other thing?
Yeah, game developers, stop making hipfire useless.
Yeah. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. Fucking pick one with your hipfire crosshair. Either the crosshair increases and decreases its size when you move and jump and shoot and all this other stuff, but your bullets always end up inside the crosshair, or make it so the crosshair is always static so you can aim better and you just have to accept that the bullets are going to go outside the crosshair. Don't
Yeah.
fucking do both. There's no reason why the crosshair should increase in size and the bullets should still go outside the crosshair. What's the point of changing the size?
Yeah, the size needs to represent where the bullets can go, potentially. The whole point of that is that if my crosshairs are bloomed out and I have his body, his body takes up the entirety of the crosshair, then a bullet should still hit.
Yep, that's the problem. So that's Battlefield 5 open beta. I'll probably still play it a little bit more with the classes I haven't played just to unlock some things and other things. But, I'm going to enjoy Battlefield 1 in my off time.
Well, let's talk about Anthem, because God, I'm hype about this game.
Yep, so the Anthem demo comes out February 1st. They've said that it is a demo, not a beta.
Yeah,
And the final release is February 22nd.
I'm so excited about this game.
Yeah, it's like all the things we wanted from Destiny.
Well,
But,
it's third person, so that's going to be cool. So that's got some Division vibes going on. It's like a mix of Division and Destiny to that degree. But, I mean, certainly it's comparable to Destiny. But
I mean,
I think they're doing a lot
honestly,
better here. There's
I
four
think
classes.
I think people are making that comparison too early, and I've kind of jumped on that bandwagon. We're like, hey, it's gonna be like a better version of Destiny, but who knows? It might come out and it's nothing like it.
It's a BioWare game, and I think they're using Dice's engine, right? Something like that.
I don't know.
Frostbite.
But I did see a little bit of, I don't know if it was E3, but like that 20 minutes of gameplay trailer, and no awkward face animations. I mean, they're a little bit exaggerated and, expressive, but not
I don't
awkward,
really
bug
mind
eyed.
those things. You know, it's a BioWare thing. Anybody that's played Mass Effect and is a fan of the series knows that BioWare has awkward face animations. They don't handcraft them. They use an artificial intelligence to do that, and sometimes it makes mistakes. It hears words and it does it, programmed to do it on its own. I don't know much about the story, and I don't think we're going to talk about the story. It looks like a cool setting. It reminds me of like Avatar and shit like that. That's really what comes to mind with that.
Yeah.
Kind of getting in these suits and being taller and bigger and going out into these harsh jungle environments. I hope there's more planets involved and shit like that, but who knows?
Well,
We know
they
that.
said it's still going to be a BioWare game like you've come to know and
Oh
love,
yeah,
and if that's the case, it's going to be an intricate story and choices and a lot of open world stuff to
yeah.
do, side quests.
So it's 4 players total. You'll team up to 3 other friends, so it's 4-man groups instead of the 3 from Destiny. Uh, it's apparently a seamless world, so there's no loading screens and things like that between zones.
Yeah, you
That's
just
great.
load the game for 30 minutes when you start the game, and
Yeah.
and then you don't
We
have to
have
load it
one of
anymore.
4 javelins, and I think you can switch between these at any time. They're customizable exosuits that function as classes. You have the Ranger, which is a generalized class that specializes in close quarters combat. I'm guessing this is like kind of the starter class that you begin with, and then there's the Colossus, which is a heavy, slower class that's more like a tank. Got massive weapons. There's really cool setup too. It looks like where people can like work together. I think there was a video where the Colossus uh, is like somebody's like target locking things, and the Colossus does some shit to kind of carpet bomb them. He also like pulls out a shield and runs through these things that explode and takes the hits for everybody else. There's the Interceptor, which is an agile roguelike javelin, and along with the Storm can wield a sword. The Storm is like the Warlock class. It's a seemingly mage-like javelin, which I'm really hyped about. Along with the Interceptor can wield a sword. And these are like their little class systems, and oh man, it just looks really fucking cool. It looks like you have multiple abilities, which is something Destiny was really lacking in with their
Yeah,
when you came off Destiny 1, I really thought Destiny 2 was going to add more abilities, and it looked like they were doing that with like the dodge for hunters and all that shit, but wow, it was a big
yeah,
blunder
useless.
on that. It's going to be free to play. Uh
What?
in terms of free to you buy it once, I
Oh,
guess.
okay,
That's
yeah.
how that's going to be, so it's not going to be a monthly subscription.
Well, why would it?
Uh
I mean, that doesn't seem
Right.
the right type of
Well,
game for that.
it's just good to hear that people need to be careful about what they wish for when it comes to loot boxes, or every game might end up being a fucking MMO.
Yeah,
There's apparently going to be strongholds, which are like instance areas with, these are basically dungeons. That's what they're calling their dungeons. Combat is third-person shooter, works similar with Destiny 2 and the Division and other loot shooters. The stats influence how you'll have stats that influence how much damage you do to enemies depending on their level. There were level, we see in the trailer like numbers popping out of things. So there are combat numbers. There's also a combo system apparently, and that's what I meant by the working together. You can
yeah.
layer different status effects and things like that on enemies.
You know what game actually did that pretty well was Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Did you ever play that game?
I don't think so. Was that like one of those kind of like side projects that somebody did?
It was made by Vicarious Visions. It
Oh
was
yeah, I
not very
did
well
play
made.
that. I did play
But
it.
it was
It's not
kind of
very
like,
well made, yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like a brawler, but you could play with up to 4 people as
Yeah.
different Marvel heroes. But yeah, same thing. Like you could do the thing where, like, Wolverine hits, Captain America's shield and shit. You could, depending on your powers, you could do those combos. So I'm kind of
That's
looking
pretty
forward to
cool.
that.
So just to wrap it up on Anthem, because obviously the game's not out, we don't know much about it.
Yeah,
I
a
will
lot of
say the best.
speculation.
I will say the best for last. But this is from interviews and stuff. So Completing missions and defeating enemies will earn XP. There'll be different other ways to level up in Anthem. Every javelin will have their own level, so you can level the javelins independently. There will be loot, but no loot boxes, they say. They'll have like a hub area that everybody, similar to Destiny. Your only companions will be real people, so you're not going to be getting followed around by NPCs and shit like that. So you play by yourself or with friends. They call it a live service, and this is what they said. They said the game is built around a live service, and through our creative process, we've decided to add more to the disruptive new social designs for our players. So expect a steady cadence of updates for Anthem for years to come, but we'd caution against expecting too much too often.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's a BioWare game.
Only.
It's going to be like 90%
Yeah.
of the game is going to be in the game when you get it. I don't think like Dragon Age Inquisition even had DLC. I think they
Here's
just
the best
old
bit
school
of news.
released the game and then this is it.
This is the best bit of news, and I hope this starts a trend. And I know they say for now, at least at launch, but I hope they never implement it. There will be no PvP, at least at launch.
Oh,
Strictly
thank
cooperative when it launches February. Yes, please, because that's the worst thing that can happen in this game is balancing shit around PvP.
yeah, that's the downfall of many other games that could have otherwise been pretty good, like Destiny 2, Destiny 2, World of Warcraft.
Man, if only they didn't have to fall like that's one of the problems with Destiny 2 is that they fall back on PvP being an end game system. Like,
Yeah, it's just a fucking excuse as to why they don't want to do things, really.
exactly.
I mean, they could easily. They've already made it in Destiny 2 so that your weapon level and all that doesn't matter. I mean, they might have changed it. I've been out of the loop. They're dead to me. But they could have done more, but they're still using the excuse when it suits them that well, that's not fair in PvP. Okay, well then change it for PvP.
Yeah, change it.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about Anthem. I don't know a whole lot about it. It looks really cool. I'm excited for it, but I don't know if there's a whole lot
up
to.
Right after our January Resident Evil play.
Yeah,
It's gonna line up so beautifully. God, it's gonna be so good. Oh, starting
sucks
in
right now,
November, yeah, right now it's pretty bad. Starting in October, things are gonna start picking up and getting good with our horror month, and then we got November with Battlefield 5 and Fallout 76. And then we move right into December with Resident Evil all month long, into January all month long, and then Resident Evil 2 remake, and then boom, Anthem. And then after Anthem is like even other shit. There's more shit coming, like March and all that is pretty much the launch lineups for everything else.
yeah.
Good
So
times.
it's a good time to be alive. My goal is to survive until Resident Evil 2 remake.
At least until you complete it.
Yeah.
I'm doing like 2 sit-ups a day. Just trying to
Yeah, if I survive until my 31st birthday, we're good. So expect to play for like 4 days straight, because that's what I'm doing. I'm taking that Friday off and I'm taking the next Monday off. My birthday's on Sunday, and I'm going to basically be playing all weekend, all the long weekend, the live long weekend. All right. Next up, there's a new Lord of the Rings game, maybe an MMO, made by Warframe's parent company.
Yeah, Warframe's making it. That's why people think it's an MMO, because that's all they know.
Yeah, well, Warframe's not an MMO. I mean, I guess it is, but it's not like the traditional MMO.
So this article says that it's based on Tolkien's Middle Earth. We don't know what time period, I guess.
Before The Hobbit.
Partners Monolith. Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So Athlon Games is a publishing division of Digital Extremes. They announced that it has signed a long-term deal with Middle-earth Enterprises to create a new game set in Tolkien's famous fantasy realm. In before it's a mobile game.
Oh God, you put it out in the world. You just Schrodinger's catted it.
It's a division of the Saurs. There's a lot of information on the company here, and not really much on the game. There's not much to say on this. I mean, other than
Yeah, I mean,
we could talk about the old MMO, like that if they are doing an MMO, the Lord of the Rings, God, I'd rather them resurrect the old one. The old one wasn't bad. I don't even know if it's still available. Maybe it is. They might have shut it down. Lord of the Rings Online was really good. Let's see if it's still running.
I never played it, but I I am jonesing for a better made, more modern, like high fantasy type MMO. So this might be it. Probably not.
Well, the website's still up for Lord of the Rings Online. It's an older looking game. It came out a bit, I think, after World of Warcraft launched, so it's not super great looking. Um, I used to play it. It's got that old whimsical MMO thing going on, You know what I mean?
No, not really, but
Well,
sure.
so for example, when you boot up a game that's an MMO, typically it has like they World of Warcraft just jumps you into the game and is like, here, do this stuff, and it really breadcrumbs you and sends you along. Lord of the Rings Online doesn't do that. It's like the classic MMO where it drops you in and it says, enjoy. It's like, here's a world. And a lot of the fun in the game is exploring around. I remember playing a warrior class and going around, and you go to Brill, and you see all these different places that are in the books. It's based off the books, and the storyline actually leads up to the One Ring storyline. Like, it's not happening afterwards; it's happening before it and leading up to it. So there's the Witch King of Angmar and all that, and it's got a lot of cool elements to it that it did right, in my opinion. There's a lot of shit where it's just doing things. I mean, certainly it probably doesn't live up today to like World of Warcraft standards, and would probably be hard to get into if you're not a fan of Lord of the Rings. I remember going through the dark forest, and it felt pretty creepy. You know, you go through all these areas that are interesting. One of the coolest thing is they have a music system. You can get a lute, and then you can actually play it. You can enter the lute mode and actually play the lute. Or you can do what everybody else does, and you can download text file songs that actually play, like fucking Fire in the Flames and shit like that, actual songs. And you can queue up with other people in your party and just play as a band, and that's pretty hilarious. But that's the whimsicalness of an old MMO that I mean about, the crafting's very extravagant and all that, but it's slow. It's very slow paced, and it's not arcadey like World of Warcraft is. But the PvP system was pretty cool. They had it. You would queue up for PvP, and it just send you to a max level area with a max level character. It's like a different character entirely that you could use. I remember
That's interesting.
You could play as, so you normally play as the good guys, but you could go and play as like an orc in the high level area of Mordor and shit like that. Just running around doing shit for no reason. It's a really interesting game. It looks like it still runs. I don't know. It doesn't require monthly fees anymore, so it's free to play. So
I wonder what the new game's going to be like if that was also a Lord of the Rings game, MMO, open world, leading up to the movies and the books and stuff. It's kind of like the same as this one, so who knows?
I remember it had a lot of cool shit because you'd run into characters, they had Aragorn in the game and all that shit.
You think it'll be like the actual universe where everyone's playing melee and archers and there's like 3 wizards?
There's like 3 I don't think there was a wizard class in that game. I don't think there was, actually. I don't think there was
it'd be OP like they're
class
supposed to
in that
be.
game. Hold on, let's check it out. Let's see. It's free to play. Maybe we should boot it up one day and just play it on stream, just until we get tired of it. They're like, yeah, this is terrible.
I mean, it's an MMO. It's a time investment, which I still need to invest more time into World of Warcraft. We'll get to that later. In the meantime, let's just talk about that Fortnite thing real quick.
Oh boy. Fortnite.
Yeah, so we hate Fortnite, and this is just another testament to the bullshit. So there was a $1.5 million Fortnite tournament, and Fortnite likes to do this shit where they kind of like put stuff into the game mysteriously that kind of reveals itself over time. And one of them is there's these purple boxes that roll around and leave low gravity fields. Well, in a $1.5 million tournament, it fucking bugged out, and people were just sent flying in the air, up and down, up and down. And there's actually a little video on it, and you could hear the announcers going like, "What is happening?" And people just like trying to take pot shots at each other as they're flying by. Of course, none of the bullets are hitting because that's the way the guns work. So
This is right on the back of the PUBG tournament with the Shroud, the famous Shroud grenade fail, where the
yeah,
grenade completely lands next to the guy. And I don't care who you are, if you're trying to say that it was just a camera angle, you're wrong. It
yeah.
was
You
obviously
fail to
right next
understand
to the
how
guy.
grenades work in real life, and for a game that tries to make guns and shit behave as realistic as possible, a grenade going off 20 feet from you is still not a pleasant experience. You'll probably still get hit by shrapnel because guess what? It's not like the movies where the grenade explodes and there's fire. It's actually not any fire when a grenade explodes. It just pops and shrapnel goes everywhere.
I'm not some kind of like Shroud fan or anything. Like I don't really watch him play or anything like that. But that guy deserved the kill on both of those fucking people,
Yeah.
and he wasn't given. It wasn't given to him, and that something like that, something so small as that. Every bullet fired afterwards by that group that didn't get blown up by the grenade affects the outcome of the game in a negative way because they should be dead.
Yeah. They didn't even have full health, either of them.
Yeah, it should have been over. The grenade blows up right on top of them. Even the announcers are like, how did he survive that?" And
Yeah. Not
this is why
esports ready.
these games fail. These games will fail, and the reason why these games will fail is because these developers are making a lot of money, and then they're turning around and throwing like $1.5 million into these tournaments, and it's all for nothing. Because certainly people are watching Fortnite. Nobody's watching PUBG hardly at all. You just can't do this. You got to stop. You got to stop throwing money into esports. Let the community do it. Let the community do it. It will never be Major League or anything like that because those groups have billionaires behind them and sponsors. That's why they're able to pay those kind of amounts of money to people. It's just not going to happen with esports. At least a game like this, Counter Strike, I could see as a thing. It fits the mold. It's a quick game and shit like that.
It's consistent too.
Fortnite
You
is,
never get
yeah,
issues
it's
like this.
consistent. Best teams always go forwards. You have pretty much the same. It's just like other sports where you have usually people that you think should be the champions because they played well that year. They're the ones winning. Fortnite, every game is a different winner. Very
Too
rarely,
much random. That's the problem
very
with
rarely do
Battle
you get a
Royale.
winner that's in a row the same people. Yeah, it's too much random, and it's
I
too
mean, that would be like
cartoony to even
basing
be
a
taken
CS:GO. It
serious.
would be like basing a CS:GO tournament on a fucking game of arms race. You
It's
know?
so cartoony and unserious looking. I feel like any person that watches this that's not in the community looks at it and goes, "Is this for kids?" Like immediately, is this for children? We're
And
supposed to
the
be
answer
getting
is
out of that.
yes. Awkward silence. So, what did you find on
Well, yeah,
The
fuck
Lord of the
Fortnite.
Rings?
I mean, there are no mage classes. There's like minstrel and shit like that.
Yeah.
That was all. Yeah.
All right. So, I didn't look at the news today, but apparently there's another World of Warcraft fuck up. Tell me about it.
Just when we thought this week was going to be dry, Blizzard comes right out and proves to us that Ian Hazzikostas doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. I still believe that this is his first rodeo in terms of full-on 100% control over an expansion. And I feel like he's really dropped the ball. I wouldn't say it's laziness. I'm not going to say he's lazy, but I think he's let too many people make decisions that shouldn't be making decisions.
Or maybe he just makes really bad decisions.
Well, it's been a shit show. A lot of the concepts of the expansion are great. The story arc is pretty good. I like where it's going. There's a lot of like good systems. I do like the idea of island expeditions and things like that. But they've been dropping the ball on a lot of key elements. and a lot of those key elements are bugs and things like that. A lot of the community feels like this is a very buggy expansion.
Oh yeah, I said it the other day. I've never had an expansion with so many fucking enemies, like stuck inside of rocks, the ground, evading shit. It's all the time. That used to be. I've probably seen that more in this expansion than the rest of the game combined. In my 13, 14 years of playing, so it's pretty significant. But that's not the only thing. So you said that you had something you wanted to share. Hello.
Can you give me 1 second?
All right. Well, I'm finally playing my mage a little bit more, and it's getting slightly better, I guess. It's still just a lot of, hey, you want to do the war campaign? Go and spam World Quest for 2 weeks, which I'm not a huge fan of.
Yeah,
I don't like.
that's another thing people are complaining about is that this expansion has a weird campaign that's tied into reputation.
Yeah.
Somebody made a post on Reddit that I have to kind of agree with, to some degree. This expansion feels like it should have come before Legion. Like the systems in this expansion, if you were to pitch Legion to somebody as if it were coming out as the next expansion, it would sound like a lot of Legion systems are upgraded versions of these systems.
Yeah.
They were talking about how, hey, you know how in BFA we had the one storyline that was separate to the storyline. We had the one war campaign that everybody shared, and it was reputation gated. Well, now we got a non-reputation gated personal story for each individual class called the Order campaign. Order Hall campaign. And then like, oh, are you a fan of? Did you enjoy the artifact items, the artifact gear that was kind of meh and didn't have a lot of game-changing abilities on it? Well, now we've introduced a legendary system where it not only does it increase your item level, but it changes the way you play the class.
Yeah.
And then of course the artifact weapon itself, which this is the real ball they dropped here. This is one that people have had a big problem with, and I have to agree. In Legion, when you got artifact power, you got an upgrade, and it stayed with you the whole time. In BFA, when you get when you get new shoulders that are higher item level, like I just got a 370 item level shoulder a couple days ago. What I was wearing prior to that had all 3 abilities unlocked, on the shoulder piece. Now I have 4 different traits I can get now because it's a 370, but I can't even get the first trait because my artifact necklace isn't high enough. Now,
Yeah.
it's not like I've been scrimping. Certainly, I haven't been on every single day doing every single Azerite world quest. But I don't think that should be required to at least get the first ability on a piece of equipment. It's almost like you gain item level, but you lose the strength of the abilities. It's as if in Legion, if you were to unlock a trait and then you like leveled up, and then suddenly those traits went away or something, or you put more gear on, then the trait went away. It's like it's a really poor system.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole theme of this expansion. It seems 1 step forward, 2 steps back, in pretty much every way.
I think all they really needed to do here was they shouldn't have tied in these abilities to the level of the artifact. They really shouldn't. They should have tied it into just upgrading your item level on the necklace itself, and maybe on the pieces of gear as well. I don't know. Man, it's just maybe
Well, they should have put a handful of, talent-like abilities like they did on your artifact weapon on your necklace.
Yeah, that's true. They could have done that. They could have had the necklace have way more abilities on it, and every time you level up, you can. Yeah, it should have been pretty much like the weapon. I don't know what the problem with the weapon was. The weapon was a great system. It felt like old vanilla talents, and people loved it. And then they just got rid of that and said, "Hey, instead of a new artifact, we're gonna give you basically this fucking forge from Argus that people didn't really care for that much."
Yeah.
That's really what they did. But they dropped the ball again today. And boy, you're going to love this one because I know I only told you a little bit about it. So the Warfront campaign, when the Warfront is a thing that they added in BFA that's completely new, and it's the idea that you're going to be doing 20-man scenarios with other players, and it's PVE only. It uses the same AI as the island expeditions. So the enemies you're playing against are better AI that doesn't act like idiots and just run at you and do basic abilities. They have movement and things like that involved in their artificial intelligence, and those are going to be the enemies you're dealing with when you're doing this warfront. The warfront's a pretty elaborate thing. It's not just a scenario like the attack on Lordaeron. Instead, there's processes of defending sieges. You know, you're going to come in and you're going to drop in and kill the faction leader of the opposite faction that has invaded your keep and clear them out. And then you're going to clear out the whole town, and then you're going to hold it and board it up and bunker up. And then you're going to have people stay behind and defend while other people go off and capture the mines. And so you can start bringing in ore resources and the lumber mills. So you can start bringing
So what was that whole thing that we did where we went and
up.
just killed a bunch of rares?
That's when you control it. So phase 1 is when a faction controls it. So we had phase 1. The Alliance started as controlling Stromgarde. Makes sense because they control that area. The Horde had built up a base outside, and we owned the area. The Horde, in terms of story, the Horde were all dead and wiped out, and the area belonged to us now. That's why we were killing spirits in that Horde-controlled area.
Yeah.
So there's a world boss that only shows up when you control the area. That means Horde have not had access to that world boss for a week. For 1 week now, the Horde has not had access to that world boss. And they won't have access to it again, by the way, until next Sunday at least. So they don't have an opportunity for that. And the Alliance have had access to these rares. I believe the Horde has also had access to those. And those reset weekly, including the world quests. Those reset weekly. It's just the world boss one that is relative. That's really all you get. For owning the area, you get access to the world boss. That's it. Once you own the area, the other faction then has to provide supplies. And we on the Alliance didn't really understand what this was. I looked into it today. I assumed it was going to be world quests and things like that, or daily quests. Apparently, it's just an NPC vendor that you give stuff to. You give either profession items like herbs or skins or stuff like that, or you can donate a round of 100 gold a day, maximum. And you can contribute as many war resources as you want, 100 each. Now, this is why it's been so slow, because those resources aren't very abundant. I thought it was going to be doing like quests and shit like that, things that are invigorating and interesting and intuitive, you know, going out and collecting things and bringing it back and shit like that. But no, it's very mundane. You go to an NPC and you just turn it in by hitting a button. It's just like the Broken Shore shit for building up buildings. It's the same concept there. But they do give you 500 artifact power as a reward each time you turn in. That's pretty significant. Now we're going to start. I'm going to start getting into some things that's going to be pretty fucked up and significant as we go here. Okay, so this is the theme. So when you're doing, so the scenario is really interesting and intriguing, and the Horde's getting to do that right now. And here's the thing about the scenario. Well, actually, I'll get that in a second. So, okay, so you own the area, and the other faction does the resources. Then it unlocks the scenario. Okay. And it kicked over this afternoon. People were sitting next to the guy on Alliance side. There was like so many people sitting next to him, as it was 99% waiting for it to kick over. And it kicks over, and it turns into a 7-day timer. A 7-day timer with the join queue button grayed out. On Horde side, it's a 7-day timer, and the join queue button is available. So that means this is not for Alliance to do this week. Now, some people already knew this. The people that played the beta knew that this was already a thing, but it was only 3 days of a timer on the beta. Now it's 7 days. So many people were standing up in line next to that, and this is why it's a big problem for Blizzard. So many people had no fucking clue that this was going to be gated like that. And this is what I mean by gated. This may not seem like a big deal, but when it comes to war fronts, owning the area is trivial. Okay, the thing that's most important is doing the actual warfront scenario. So here's what you get for doing the warfront scenario. You have the quest, which you have right now as Alliance to complete the warfront scenario. It gives a piece of 370 item level gear guaranteed in a loot box or whatever.
Which is pretty significant.
Every time you complete the scenario, the end reward, and you can repeat it, is a 340 item level item. So the Horde have access to this for 7 days, and the Alliance doesn't. And you're talking about the raid just came out, and there are guilds that compete against each other to complete these raids. How is Blizzard even managing to pull this off right now?
Yeah, I'm surprised with the amount of focus that Hazukosis puts on raiding.
Like, this is...
Must be a Horde.
People are bitching, and for a good reason. This is setting back Alliance guilds versus Horde guilds. Not only to that degree, but to the degree that for the past 6 days, we've learned that the Horde have been getting 500 artifact power on top of 500 artifact power on top of fucking reputation for the Warfront campaign. So every time they turn that shit in, they get 500 artifact power for their necklace, and they get Warfront campaign reputation.
So why is it that the Horde gets to do all this stuff and we get to do nothing?
Because Blizzard's fucking retarded.
But I mean, what happens when it flips around again?
So
does the Horde just have to sit there?
So when it flips on Sunday, the Horde will own Arathi Basin, or sorry, not Arathi Basin. They'll own the Arathi Highlands, and they'll still have rare access, just like we will. Rares will be available all week for both. Always rares will be available for both factions with a weekly reset and the chance to drop 340 item level. The only thing that the Horde gains access to by winning the Warfront is the World Boss, which we then lose access to, which is also on a weekly reset. Okay? Now, there's no way to stop this. Keep that in mind. There's no way to stop this. So here's the crazy part. Then Alliance will enter the resource build-up phase, where we'll contribute, and then we'll finally get to have the easy mode artifact power increase and the easy mode getting access to completing the Warfront campaign. Most of the Horde has completed their Warfront campaign and already unlocked Magar Orcs because of this reason. This was the dumbest decision they've ever fucking made. And I'll get to what they could have done in a second.
So that means that we got to wait 2 weeks before we can do all that?
We have to wait till next Sunday before we can do all of it. And then we'll have to wait another week while we contribute resources to be able to do...
That's just why can't we contribute resources now? Like, why?
Yeah, this is their big problem. I think there's two solutions to this that they should have went with. One is simultaneous together, where while both factions are doing resource acquisition at the same time, and then the thing opens up and both of them are doing the Warfront. There's no reason not to have these both happening at the same time. It's also irrelevant. Like, oh no, the Horde own this area. Well, there's no negative effect to the Alliance not owning Arathi Highlands, other than they don't get access to one world boss world quest. It's very pointless. So
sounds kind of convoluted and kind of stupid.
Convoluted, and it should be straight on. It should be a straight on issue, and it's one of those convoluted things that shouldn't even exist, to the point where like,
hello?
Sorry. So there's no, I don't understand why they have to have, oh, this side owns this area for now, and then later, oh, now this week, it's completely arbitrary anyways. There's no competition for it. It just cycles back and forth, and there's no like major difference. It'd be one thing if it was like, oh, you don't own the area, now this stuff is happening and it's more interesting, and all these different things open up, and then, oh, you do own the area, so you have all these other things happening. That's not the case. It's one fucking world boss world quest that you either have access to or don't, and everything's phased, so it doesn't even matter. Like, if the Horde players this week were owning Arathi Highlands, and the Alliance players this week were also owning Arathi Highlands, it wouldn't affect either side at all because you just phase it, right?
Yeah.
You just use phase technology, and according to the Horde, they own it. According to the Alliance, they own it, right? There's no reason to have this stupid system in place. Now, that's just out of fairness because of the fact that the only reason why I suggest that one is out of fairness because the resource turn-in system nets you two of the most important things right now, and that's artifact power, which is really hard to come by. Every fucking world quest right now gives barely any artifact power. It's like 250 for a blue world quest. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
rares drop like between 25 and 35 or something like that.
It's pathetic as fuck. Meanwhile, if you do one of the elite world quests, it's almost nearly impossible to solo. It's like only 375, so it's barely an increase off of the soloable ones. And then there's the other thing, reputation, the most important, you might say, of all the things that you need right now. Reputation. Well, right now for Alliance, the only way to get reputation is by completing world quests. For the Horde, they can also turn in shit. They can turn in as many war resources as possible, which makes it more valuable to actually do war resource world quests, which is less valuable for Alliance players right now. And they didn't communicate any of this, by the way.
Yeah,
so
of course
so
they
many
didn't.
people there's so many people that haven't been doing war resource quests because they're so useless. Think about what you use war resources for right now.
Yeah, sending those idiots on missions.
And you've never hit a point where you're like, oh, I'm almost out. It's not an issue at all. And it'd be one thing if like you actually got something for owning the area. I can't believe for the life of me, I can't understand that Blizzard actually created a system called World Quests, and then they did not put them in. They've used them for the Dark Shore shit. They're using them now for Kul Tiras and Zandalar, and then cut to this shit, and you own Arathi Highlands, and there's not a single fucking world quest there aside from a world quest for a boss that you can do once a week. They could have easily did world quests. There's all the stuff is there. There's NPCs to kill. There's rares to kill. It's all there. But they don't do that for some reason. As it stands right now, when you own Arathi Highlands, and the weekly reset comes on Tuesday, you spend a couple hours fucking flying around, killing some rares, hoping you get lucky, and then kill the world boss after you group up with some people, and then you're done. You don't go back there for anything. There's no reason to go back there once you've killed all the rares. No reason at all.
The world quest for emissaries, that's about it. And to get your 7th Legion reputation up, and I'm sure a lot of people have already done that. I mean,
there's no world quest there in Arathi Highlands.
Oh, Arathi Highlands, yeah.
There's no reason for that. So owning it is pointless. And they're basing it off this stupid system of like, oh, well, it's for people that can't play every day. That's fine. Use the Dark Shore World Quest system then. That was like a weekly system to some degree, although it shouldn't be weekly. It should rotate like other World Quests. I mean, World Quests, the other World Quest system that you use right now is fine. Just use that one where it rotates every like 6 to 8 hours. Why not? What's the problem with that? It's not a problem currently for everybody. Why is it a problem suddenly? But what they really should have done is instead of they should have done that to where owning Arathi Highlands is just as lucrative as not owning it. It should be an even amount of shit that you do. It's just more engaging if you own it. It's more
probably trying to drive a wedge further in between the Horde and Alliance, and they, in their own little bubble, they think that people are like really care, and I'm sure there are people that really care, but most people just want to get their fucking gear. They don't care.
The other system that they could have used, and this would have been the better system, is you own Arathi Highlands and can queue up for the Warfront scenario when you own it, as soon as you own it. And meantime, while you're doing that, the other faction is contributing resources. As soon as they hit 100%, you lose control of that zone, and they now own it and get access to the Warfront queue. This creates competition on a PvE level, which is like a pseudo PvP system, where you're actually competing against the other faction to own an area. Why not do that system? It took them 6 fucking days.
So why couldn't we do the Warfront scenario while we had control?
Right?
The first week. Or were they trying to gate it? That's the only reason?
Because that was phase 1. Phase 2 is what we're in now, where they have access to the Warfront and we have access to just still owning the zone. So it's not like back and forth. It's like a stall and a back and forth. So next week, they won't have access to the Warfront. They'll have to sit there and do nothing while we build up resources. It's so fucking
So
dumb.
they don't get the world boss and all the shit we were doing week 1 next
They'll
week?
get the world boss and all the shit we're doing world week one. They just won't get to do the scenario anymore, which is probably the most beneficial part of it is the scenario. It's so crazy, man. It's so crazy. I don't. And people are rightfully upset about this. This was
Yeah,
so
and they
poorly
should be. And
communicated.
I called this like it's finally getting to the point where people like the shininess of the new expansion is worn off or is beginning to wear off and people are starting to turn on them. I'm starting to see like people complaining about casters like not just in this expansion but all around. Why is 75% of the classes melee? Why is melee
What?
so much easier to play? And I've been saying this since fucking vanilla.
So it'd be nice to play this shit, but we don't, as Alliance, we don't get to play it for 2 weeks.
Well, that's
So
2 weeks to catch up and do
Tuesday,
fucking heroics
that's
and mythics
three
and
weeks. That's 3 total weeks. Tuesday, the Warfront patch came out. Not really a patch, but whatever. It came out and they were like, "Oh, the Warfronts are out, guys." For Alliance, not for 3 weeks. And by the way, the 340 items that they drop in that scenario can Titan Forge. It's like
they're still doing
this
that.
this guy said did 4 Warfronts today, got the 340 eye level loot every time. Every time. This is a repeatable thing that the Horde has access to right now to get 340 item level guaranteed every time. This guy did 4 of them in one day, 340 every time. He got a 370 once only, and that's 5 epic pieces in total. This is ridiculous. And we don't get access to this right now as Alliance. What the fuck?
Sounds like they don't
Heroics.
know what the fuck they're doing. I guess they, in their mind, this is a way to keep people coming back and playing. And I think it's just going to do the opposite. I think people are finally at their wits fucking end with all this stuff. I mean,
Yes.
it'll never be enough to like put Blizzard out of business. But I mean, fuck, they got to see the numbers. Kind of makes me not want to play out of principle. You know.
It's so fucking retarded.
I mean,
This is
the
really
only thing we could do for the next 3 weeks is grind rep and finish the war campaign.
it'd be a different story if there was actually something to do if you own a Wrathy Highlands. That's my big problem here. It's not the fact that the Horde get access to a fucking expansion feature 3 weeks ahead of the Alliance. It's not the fact that nothing was communicated. It's the fact that owning a Wrathy Highlands means nothing. You get access to a world boss that might drop a piece of gear.
Oh,
Yeah,
and it
when I
didn't.
did it, when I
I
did
did
it on
both
my
world
Demon
bosses this week.
Hunter,
I got nothing. I
when
got
I did it on my
currency.
Demon Hunter, it dropped a 370 piece of shoulders. When I did it on my Warlock, I bonus rolled, got nothing but currency. It's garbage. It's a garbage system. There's nothing to do. I've killed all the rares on my Demon Hunter. I can go step through the portal right now. There's nothing there. Nothing. It doesn't reset on a daily cooldown. If it would, it'd be different if the rares reset daily. They reset weekly. There's nothing to do there. It's pointless. And all they had to do was make it world quests. That's all they had to do was make it another zone, an extra world quest zone if you own the area, a 10th zone, right? No, a 7th zone. Sorry, a 7th zone to do world quests in, with 340 item level loot on them. Unfucking believable. And not just 340 item level loot, but like better gold rewards, better artifact power, 500 artifact power rewards on killing rares there and shit that are world quests and all that shit. Nope. Nope.
I don't get it. I don't know what their reasoning is. Have they come out and said anything yet? I mean, I know this only happened today, but
I haven't heard anything. This just kicked over a couple hours ago. I haven't seen Blizzard say anything about it. Um,
for some reason, this is probably what they wanted. It seems like the expansion where they're trying to be warmongers, you know, like trying to get people riled up and pissed off at the other faction because
it
nobody
seems
cares.
like somebody made a poor decision and they let that person make the decision. That's what it seems like. let's see if we can see what's going on at the BattleNet WoW forums.
Ooh. All right. Hey guys, check out my transmog.
Oh, they actually made a post 3 minutes ago.
They watch our stream. They listen to our podcast.
Listen to these people. This is what's wrong with this game. This guy's saying stop being entitled. MMORPGs have always been about artificial gating. What? Jesus Christ. Some people like to fucking watch their wife get fucked in the ass, I guess.
Hey, everyone, shut up. This is the way it's always been. So it should keep being that way.
Time to switch to MMORPGs. Suggestions?
Nope.
I hate this expansion so much. Classic players' thoughts on BFA. Warfronts are boring zergs. Warfronts, the skinny MVP poster. Yeah, he's sucking dick. For everyone confused about the Warfront, I hereby request the demand a peon title. Warfront ellipsis. BFA was definitely supposed to release before Legion. If this Warfront thing really such a big deal, what DPS specs have the best survivability? Like, let's watch this guy's dreams get crushed. Is this Warfront thing really such a big deal? This guy's like, yeah, they're getting 340 item level stuff. This guy's like, what?
Consistently.
Oh my god.
And the raid opened this week, right?
Listen to this horde asshole. I don't know where the Warfront complaints come from. I personally found them to be really fun.
Yeah, that's great because you can do them.
Yeah. This guy right here nails it. I've been waiting for Warfront since this expansion release. So that's about how much fun I'm having. Watching a meter tick for 7 days, then not being able to do Warfronts for another 7 until we take it. It's just not fun waiting. It's an AI battle that is unlosable. Why not just have it be a Wrathy contested? Both factions on the map. There's a Horde side and Alliance side, and we both contribute. Both have our own Warfronts. And which side contributes more gets a world boss the first 3.5 days of the week, and then the loser gets the next. I don't know. But just let someone spam Warfronts if they want. I was excited for them until all this waiting started happening. Yeah. Yep, that's pretty much the gist of it.
I mean, you know what everyone's going to do after they're done waiting? They're going to just, since they know that it's a ridiculous amount of time before they can do it again, they're just going to get everything they can possibly get and then never do it again.
Yeah.
I mean, now would be a good time to level all your alts and just do it all at once. As many characters as you can.
Yeah.
I don't know how this increases. Like, Hazukosis is always fucking talking about the long-term health of the game. How is this good for the long-term health of the game? What are people going to do after the first cycle of Warfronts?
World of Gatecraft.
Someone hammering a wall?
Yeah, this was
really?
This was advertised as an expansion feature. Right up there with Island Expeditions. They did entire fucking segments on this, videos on YouTube and things like that they put out on their main channel about what these were to make people understand. These are advertised features of an expansion on why you should buy this expansion. What's different about it from Legion?
Well, it's different from Legion, just not in that good way.
And this isn't just about, by the way, this isn't just about, oh, well, I got all my pieces of gear 340 now. Now I'm 340 item level, ready to fucking raid on the Horde. You can do it with your alts. The Horde is gearing up all their fucking alts. I'm sitting here waiting for a goddamn world quest to pop. Literally, my only purpose to log into WoW is I log in, I look at all the world quests to see which ones are giving out rewards for gear, because the Warfront, the amount of war resources they give you is pathetic. The amount of artifact power they give you is minimal at best. The gold is laughable. It's laughable. It's like 70 fucking gold. It's
Yeah, they
ridiculous.
really nerfed that. I don't know why they nerfed the amount of like everything costs more, but you're still not getting much more gold than you were in Legion.
So the only thing that's useful are the items, and it's relative to your item level. So I log on and I just wait to see, is there a ring that's going to get me out of this item level slump because that's my lowest piece. Nope, no ring. Okay, great. Not even a weapon. Here's some pieces of gear, but my gear's better than that gear. Well, guess I'll just log off.
Yeah.
Guess I'll log off of the game. There's no point in play. But if you're a horde player right now, you have every reason to log in and play Warfronts on every fucking character right now. This is such a dumb decision from Blizzard. I can't understand it.
Yeah, well, we've talked about it the last 2 weeks. This whole expansion has been kind of a clusterfuck. And you'll still get those, sympathizers who are, still okay with everything. They're probably mostly playing Horde, so why wouldn't they have a reason to be happy? But I mean, come on. The classes don't feel great. You want to mitigate that as much as possible by getting as much gear as possible, as fast as you can. And you just can't. There's no way to do it. I mean, what a heroics drop. 320?
Yeah.
All right.
Like that.
So even if you just spammed heroics over and over again, at best you can get up to 320. I think the World Quest, the highest I've seen on World Quest is 310. Mythics are 340, right? So this is basically giving you one piece of raid tier gear and as much mythic gear as you want without having to do mythics.
Let's double check to make sure we're not wrong. I'll log in while we keep talking and see.
Wrong about what?
Fucking heroics. I'm pretty sure it's not 340 item level.
No, 320
is heroic tier. 70 is heroic tier raid.
So that's what you're getting for doing the Warfront the first time?
Yeah. 350 is normal tier raid or something like that.
So basically, okay, so like you said, they're basically going to be raid ready if they're not already by the end of the week.
Which is an extreme advantage. If there's any competitions on servers right now between Horde and Alliance when it comes to completing heroic first in the raid or mythic whenever that becomes available, they have a complete fucking advantage right now. They're just giving the Horde an advantage. And they've already had an advantage for the last week with the reputation and the artifact power. 500 artifact power is amazing, by the way, for just turning in a fucking thing of cloth. I need 6,000 artifact power to get to to level 16. What's better, 275 or 500? 275 where I got to go do a world quest where I got to like kill 6 things and then pick up 5 flowers or some shit, or just go up to a vendor and turn in 100 gold.
Yeah. It's almost like there's no point in controlling fucking the Warfront. It's actually a disadvantage.
It's a disadvantage.
Maybe if the world boss had a guaranteed drop, but it doesn't. And I used my bonus roll on it. Still got
Only
nothing.
if you could do it every fucking day or over and over.
I mean, the only thing I got out of doing all those rares and the world boss was 340 gloves. And then later, I got the same 340 gloves. So really, I got one piece of gear from doing that.
310 for normal. Heroic dungeons give you 325 plus, so it's not even... It's okay. It's the kind of shit my world quests are dropping right now, by the way. My world quests dropped 325 plus. And my item level is 323. And then Mythic Zero gives you 340. So you're getting Mythic Zero loot right now for
that's still pretty good. I mean, it's probably
really
easier to
good.
do the Warfront.
It's much easier to do the Warfront. It's longer, but it's easier.
And you don't have to find random people.
First set of
There's
raids,
a
normal
queue for
item
it.
level for raids is 355 plus. Heroic is 370. Raid Finder, by the way, is 340 plus. So this is Raid Finder level loot you're getting. And Mythic, of course, is 385 plus. Which somebody said they had their 370 upgrade to 385. But of course, 385 can't upgrade to like, I guess 390 something. What a giant fucking leap in item levels, by the way. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we're almost back to where we started Legion at.
I saw a tank the other day with 200,000 health. I'm telling you, the crunch is going to be just like Warlords Draenor. And then after the next expansion, they'll have to do another crunch. because it was Warlords, then Legion, and then they did a crunch, and so it'll be
They gotta
this
find a
expansion,
different
then the next one,
solution.
and then another crunch. They do. It's called not fucking. First of all, you don't crunch so goddamn hard, and secondly, you don't make the fucking disparity so much. The reason why the disparity is so big, by the way, is because, and Ian came out and said this, it's because they want the piece of gear between heroic and mythic to mean something. Okay, well, here's how you do that. You take stats off of gear, you put that on the character, and then you make the gear give you unique abilities and effects. You know, like those set bonuses you're always adding to fucking gear. Instead, those should just be on gear. Those should just be like, hey, I got my bracers, man. Yeah, what do? They make my every third pyroblast I throw do 300% increased damage. Nice.
Yeah.
That's a really good piece of loot, man. Yeah. No stats on it, so I don't have to worry about stupid shit like critical strike and shit like that. That's just on my character, baked in. So Blizzard doesn't have to worry about changing stats every goddamn patch because they're in charge of how many stats. Every fucking Demon Hunter has the same level of stats. Or tie it to item level. I don't give a fuck. Hey, what's your item level? Every time your item level goes up, your stats go up. Just do something like that. Instead of putting stats on the gear, it's just a modifier.
There's a lot of things they could do, but they're just afraid to change too
I
much.
think they should just take off the stats entirely from the gear because I think your character should be powerful, not the gear you wear. The gear you wear should be magical and interesting and do shit, just like in Dungeons and Dragons. Pick up a pair of fucking boots and they increase your movement speed by 10% at all times or something like that. You can honestly do cool shit like that. What's an upgrade to the 10% movement speed boots? A 15% movement speed. Or how about a 10% movement speed and you get like a cooldown on use effect that lets you sprint for 4 seconds at 70% movement speed. Just things like that. Like it's very simple shit.
It really is.
Creative.
No, they're afraid to change too much, and that's a good. I think that's a good place to stop because whether it's World of Warcraft or Battlefield 5, at this point, I think it's safe to say that war never changes.
We're in the fucking regression, man.
Yeah, it really is.
It's the regression of video games back to like shit. In 10 years, people are going to be like, oh man, games are getting so good. And we're going to be sitting here going, games are getting back to what they used to be.
Yeah, and it's because of nostalgia. People are nostalgia for shit. They want it the way they remember it. But then when they actually get that experience, they're like, this kind of sucks. It's like, yeah, because you were 9.
Yeah.
You know better now.
There's such an obsession with retro and indie in this fucking gaming environment. Retro is fun. Yeah, if it's done right. Dead Cells is a great game that's done right.
Yeah.
But it's not using old systems. It's not regressed.
Yeah, it looks like a retro game, but I mean, it's 2D and all that, but it's a unique kind of roguelike system.
It's a modernized roguelike system, yeah. Fucking amazing.
So that's I think that's all we got for this week. Why don't you give your spiel?
Oh, I'm the Gabbler. I'm pretty smart. If you want to hear me be smart, you gotta follow me on Twitter. It's at TGGabbler. You can't Google me because I'm not famous. So you'll have to just go to my Twitch stream and hit the follow button and subscribe with Twitch Prime. If you have a Twitch Prime account, you can subscribe for free. It's great.
And it's September.
It really
Don't
helps.
forget about September.
Yeah, it's September, so there's some kind of deal or some shit. It really helps.
Sub for
Trying to get
$1.
a new house. My wife is the only income in the family right now, and she holds it above my head. So help me stick it to the women, the matriarchy. Help me stick it to the matriarchy.
All right. Good talk. I'm Seeker127. You can also find me on Twitter and Twitch at Seeker127 and Seeker127 Gaming. We do live off of 2 incomes, and that's not enough. So trying to make the dream happen. I mean, I always like that thing from Dumb and Dumber. Do I love my job? No. But does it allow me to go on lavish vacations and buy all the things I want?
No.
Also, no. So yeah, we stream Tuesday through Saturday. I start at 6. Gabbler starts whenever he wakes up. It's a suddenly Gabbler. It started as suddenly Saturday. Now it's just suddenly Gabbler.
Yeah, suddenly dream time.
The podcast is every Sunday. That'll be uploaded probably around 6 o'clock. It's available. If you're listening to it now, you should already know where it's available, but it'll be available on all the podcasting services and iTunes. We're on iTunes now. So congratulations to us.
Yeah, 50 years from now, somebody will find this very podcast laying in a gutter somewhere on a super,
An 8-track.
Like some kind of, it'd be some kind of like tiny little disc, and they'll pick it up and they'll hear that little spiel about where you found it. Be like, I don't know where to find it.
All right. That's all we got. We're super interesting. Thanks for listening, everyone. And we'll see you next time.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Later.